Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint an autumn pathway, I'm calling it, kind of a forest with trees. I'm going to try to simplify this one and make it a lot more beginner friendly. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat during our live show today, so if you have questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, I've got a 12 by 12 inch canvas here that I'm going to be using. It's a Fredrix Pro Dixie canvas, cotton. It's got a little bit of an extra texture to it, and it's got the gallery wrap sides, which is nice so that you don't have to actually frame it if you don't want to. I've got, for the background, I'm going to use a large brush. This is number 2 inch, I'm sorry, not number 2, but 2-inch Aspen from Princeton. And then for some of the tree trunks, we're going to be using number 8 and number 4 Filbert. And that's the 6100 series and the green handles. And then for some of the details on the trees and the grasses, I've got a couple of brushes for the grasses here. This is a 3/8 inch Filbert grainier and a Bristle fan. And then I've got a couple of Willow blenders, a 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch for some of the greenery, and then some of the, well, not green really, right? Autumn colors. Leaf foliage, I should say.
The brownery?
Brownery, exactly. We've got 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch angled brushes and number 2 script liner for some of the branches and things. You'll also want maybe a either like a Deerfoot Stippler or some sort of a large or small sea sponge just to do some of the stippling of the trees in the background. And then possibly a palette knife to do some of the scraping. You can also use a credit card or something like that if you don't have a palette knife. That'll work as well. All right, go over the colors really quick. I've got burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone, burnt orange, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow, medium and light. This is cobalt teal, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple, quinacridone magenta, cadmium red light, and then this is unbleached titanium and titanium white and some glazing liquid over here. So to start with, I'm going to spray my canvas. Just got regular water in a spray bottle. I'm going to give it one nice spritz. You don't want to oversaturate it, but you do. It'll help a little bit to have some water on the canvas. The paints will flow on there a little bit better when it hasn't been painted on yet. I don't usually do this when it's got paint on it, but right at the very beginning, I like to spritz canvases, especially on these textured canvases. It kind of helps the paint absorb a little bit. So kind of come down just below the halfway mark here for our horizon line, kind of right in here somewhere. I'm not going to mark it out too dark, but that'll help us kind of get that reference. And then right off from the center here is our pathway, and it's going to kind of meander down this way and back and forth, and then it's going to go off the edge over here. So I'm just kind of barely marking that out really lightly because those are really our only main reference points, and I'm going to try to get my colors as close as I can with this background in the right spots. It doesn't really have to be exact because we're going to be painting over it, but I'm going to try to kind of, like I said before, make it a little bit more beginner friendly, so fewer steps possible. I've got the burnt umber here. I'm going to get some ultramarine blue, mix those together. And then get some of the titanium white. And the brown just kind of grays out our blue. So we've got kind of a more gray sky. Still got a lot of blue in there, but it's a little bit more gray. There we go. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to get a little bit glazing liquid. And I'm just going to put that on back here. I want to add a little bit more blue. I feel like that's a little bit gray. There we go. And I'm going to even add a little bit of cobalt teal to it. There we go. Ooh. Just jump right out of my hand there.
Is everything okay over there?
I'm doing all right. I got it under control now.
All right. We need to put that brush on timeout.
I know.
It's not performing correctly.
He's not misbehaving. All right, getting more white as we go down to the horizon line. It's going to be more white. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of the cadmium yellow light. Add that. So right in here, it's kind of more yellow. I tend to find that horizon lines in general, and this one, you know, is not super visible. So, but like a nice little trick to doing horizon lines and making them have that illusion of depth is just by lightening it up. Lightening up your colors, whatever you're using, doesn't really matter, but just using a little bit of lighter color on there will push that background farther back in that, right on that horizon line. Okay, I'm going to try to make sure that I get at least the sides that are kind of coming around the corner there done. I usually paint my sides black. I just don't take the time to paint them while I'm in the middle of it, but if you want to, you could at this point, you know, go in and make sure that your sides have some color on them. Okay, I think that's good enough. So I'm going to get a little bit of water and just kind of try to wipe my brush clean. I'm not going to dirty up my whole water trying to clean it out right now, but just kind of try to get a little bit of that color off of there. And then I'm going to get some more of that yellow, a little bit of the yellow oxide. Go back over there, the area here where I had the colors mixed before. You can tell already I'm going to need more white. Okay, so that's a good color there. It's got just a little bit of that blue in it, but so it's not like green, but yeah, that's pretty, but it's fairly light. I want to keep it very light. So I'm going to go over right up against that color, and it's going to kind of blend a little bit with it. That's fine because it's still wet. Just try not to pick up too much of that color on my brush because I want it to stay light. I don't want to pick up a lot of that darker color. Just cleaned it out. So right about there. And then it's going to start transitioning to some darker colors. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just bring that down over my path area. And that's why I marked it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this will be kind of some yellowish undertones in my path. And then I'm just going to kind of lightly brush it out on the sides a little bit. There we go. All right, so now in the darker areas on the sides here, I'm seeing a lot of oranges, and browns. So I'm going to grab some burnt umber and burnt sienna and just mix that with that yellow. It's going to be a lot darker back here, but I'm just going to start with kind of a medium brown first, and then since we've got so much yellow here, I don't want to overwhelm the yellow parts. I'm just, you can see I'm kind of lightly going in here and letting that brush, once I get to that yellow, I'm just kind of letting it flick over the top so that it does these lines here. That's the trick to that. Because if I kind of come up to it and stop, I'm going to get a straight edge. So if I kind of just flick it towards where I want that blend to happen, it'll blend in a little bit. And kind of where I'm starting here, that's that brush, so I want to go back over that and end this way. So I'm going to kind of start my brush strokes on this side and flick it towards the middle so that I'm getting that streaking happening. And get some of that yellow right here. Bring it down a little bit. If we get this as close as we can now, then we don't have to do as much later to fix it. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. It's looking kind of like I wanted it to. Get some more of that brown. And this whole bottom area, I'm just going to kind of cover because it gets kind of dark right here at the very bottom. Okay, pretty happy with that. I got some marks in there, but I don't know what that is, but it's all right. I have no idea what happened there. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm going to get some more of this white and yellow if I can. And bring it up just a little bit more up in here. See if this is, if it's too dry, it won't work, but if it's starting to dry, you might not be able to do this, but there we go. I'm just going to bring some of that yellow up into the sky a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna, got too much of that brown on there. It's just gonna turn it brown. That's all right.
Well,
okay.
Let's just throw this canvas away, start over again.
Now.
No?
We'll fix it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab my sponge now. I'm gonna get some of this brown that we've been using here. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, mixed with that yellow. Just kind of toned it down a little bit. Get a little bit more of the maybe cadmium yellow medium, yellow oxide. And just work that in. It gets dry in here today. The paints are already kind of starting to get sticky. All right, so right in there, I'm going to just start tapping my foliage right along that horizon line. And go up to about, there's the halfway mark, so maybe around the third, maybe not quite up to the third. There, right up into here. So right up in here. And just kind of a diagonal line down towards that center mark. Okay, and then I'm going to just tap up to about right here. So about the quarter mark. This is our halfway mark. There's our quarter. So right about there. And then there's some trees on either side that go kind of all the way up. There's a little bit of blue right here. A little bit of blue right in here. Kind of a V shape that we're going to try to leave. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of start tapping in some of this foliage that's all back in here. It's going to be a lot darker, so this is just our kind of first layer. You can see how we had some kind of repeating pattern there. I'm going to try to obscure that a little bit, so we don't want it to look too matchy-matchy, like repeat. So just kind of, if you see that happening, turn your sponge a little bit. I'm going to get some more of the brighter yellow here. Cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow medium. Tap those on, and like right in here, there's some really bright yellows right along that horizon line. And go ahead and go right up over the top of it. It really doesn't matter because we're gonna add more when we do that pathway. We're gonna add more white in here, so we're just gonna try to lay the background in here. So all through in here, and this part here kind of comes down. So the pathway goes up in here. Then this part of the trees kind of come down a little bit, so we can come down just a little bit farther down right here than that horizon line on this side. I think you need to restart OBS probably. I'm gonna wipe wash my hands out here. Alrighty, so I'm going to use the smaller of the Filberts here first and do some very small little tree trunks way back in the way back. I'm going to get some of the Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and so actually let's go ahead and put in our path. That way that's kind of our main thing. We can see kind of everything else sort of comes off of it. So it's going to be in this area here. I'm going to put some white in, bring that around. We need to contact the cable company. And something.
Yeah.
It's not good. Am I on camera?
Yep.
Or on mic?
Yep, you're on.
Okay. I don't know if anybody can hear me. Getting some purple here. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Hopefully you guys can hang in there with us until we get them figured out. Hopefully this will show up enough to maybe make some sense. We'll see. I'm getting some purples, and I've got a little bit of the burnt orange. What?
Okay, it's back.
It's back? Yay. Okay. So I'm going to do some of the trees with this. I want to add some of that blue from our background, from our sky, to lighten it up. These trees in the back are going to be a little bit lighter. And just, they're very kind of wiggly, so.
You may want to go back over kind of the colors and stuff you did in the last little bit.
Okay. I put some teal in here. I used the sky color, this color, on the path to kind of mark it out. And then I used a little bit of the blue and a little bit of the teal, a little bit of purple to do some of the path. But it's not done yet, so we'll be working on it some more. But then this is the purple, ultramarine blue, and the quinacridone burnt orange. And we're just marking out some trees back here. I've added some of this blue from our sky to our tree color to lighten it up. That one's a little bit dark. I'm keeping them small. You doing better?
It's hanging in there.
Hanging in there? Okay. Getting some more of that blue that was in our sky color, that ultramarine blue and a little bit of brown. Just adding a few little ones back here. So all the ones that are kind of on that same plane are going to be about the same size-ish. These ones are a little bit farther up. They're going to be a little bit smaller. These ones are a little bit farther down. And then all of this back in here is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and put in some random ones here. I pretty much figure they're going to be covered up, but just in case, we'll put a few little random ones, and then these over here, I'm going to do a few little small ones back there. Okay. So let's do a couple right here too.
You're pretty awesome to be able to just continue on doing that.
It's kind of hard to concentrate on it when.
Yeah, but you're doing awesome and just painting right through it.
Okay, we're trying.
A lesser person would have just given up.
I don't know about that, but
Oh, yeah.
it's my job. It's not my first rodeo. Sadly, this happens a lot with YouTube. It's a lot better than the first few times that I tried to live stream before we got our stream keys all figured out and all the settings figured out. We've been fortunate not to have a lot of issues with it since I first set it up years ago. But I think with the new studio, maybe it's changing some of the settings. I don't know for sure what's going on. Something's happening now. So we'll just have to read up and find out what's happening. All right, so here's our path here. There is one tree that's sort of like right in here. That is going right here. Might be a little higher actually. I'm trying to see where it is. That's good. Go up and over and then all the way up to the top and off. I'm going to get some teal. That was yellow oxide I mixed in with my purple for that first part of the tree, and I'm going to get the teal now and kind of go along one side of it and add teal. Definitely exaggerating the colors that I'm seeing in these trees, so if you're like, I don't see teal, well, there is a little bit of it, but I'm making it even more prominent. So then we're going to have a whole cluster of trees right in here. It's just down from that, so right in here. And these are going to be a little bit more on the reddish side, so I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt orange. Go just below these. And wiggle, wiggle, wiggle all the way up to the top. Trying to keep them fairly small. They're a little bit bigger than these ones that we've done in the background, but not much.
What difficulty level would you put this at?
Well, I'm trying to make it a little bit more beginner level, but it's definitely not going to be a super easy one. I would say kind of mid-level beginner, maybe a 4 or 5, something like that. So I'm trying to simplify it somewhat, but it's It's just a complicated kind of composition, so it's hard to simplify it much because there's so much going on here, so many trees, everything. But just trying to work from back to front here. Those trees look like they're slanted more than they are. Don't know why on the camera they look really slanty to me, but okay. So then there's going to be another one that's right in here, that's bigger, that comes up right here. And this one I am going to use teal. I still have these other colors on my brush, so it's kind of toning it down a little bit. It's not perfectly teal. And I really need to, before I get many more in here, I need to start doing some of the, greenery in the background, or the brownery, I should say, in the background. As you aptly put it.
Copywriting version.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll charge you for the rights to use that.
Okay, thanks. All right, so let's grab my sponge again, and I'm going to go just a little bit darker than we did before. So I'm going to get my Quinacridone Burnt Orange this time, a little bit of yellow, Cadmium Yellow Medium here. And then using the grays, if I can pick it up and pick up a little bit of this gray. I don't know if it's working. Just pick up some of these colors that we've been using to tone it down just a little bit. And we're going to dab. There we go. That's kind of the color that we want. A little bit more kind of a muted neutral color. And don't worry about going over the top of this. We're going to be going back over that tree trunk again. So this is just trying to get some of these colors in here. Leave some of that first layer showing. So I don't want to cover over everything. I'm just kind of adding another layer to these trees that are down in here. A lot of these ones that are in the middle here, a lot of these ones that we just did are going to be mostly covered. So this one here is we're going to have to put back in those two. But work, okay. And I'll just keep on going here and cover most of this up. Move it down a little bit. I'm going to grab some purple now. A little bit more of that Quinacridone Burnt Orange. And use that for our dark areas here. Our dark corners are really dark.
Can you show everybody your sponge when you get a moment?
Mm-hmm. You only keep it right on the tip there, so. And I really squeeze it tight so that I only have a very small area that I'm using. That gives me a little bit better control over it. I'm going to use a little bit of glazing liquid. Help it come off there a little bit easier. There we go. And kind of turn it every now and then so that it's not just the same pattern repeating over and over again. Trying to leave a little bit of that dark, the blue sky showing through here and there. This side is going to be more covered than this side. It's going to be a little bit more open. So we're kind of doing this little dark surround here, and then we'll have the same down here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this and just kind of shade in this area a little bit along the sides of our grasses. And this is Quinacridone Burnt Orange and Purple. And go about right in there, not too far. And I'm going to go right over the top of my road right here. Tapping in. Okay, there we go. So not too bad so far. I think that doing it this way is gonna, with the sponge, is a lot easier for beginners too. So I think it's gonna be not too difficult. I think hopefully you got enough of the what I was doing in the beginning there when it was messing up for us on the stream key. Let's get a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta and the Cadmium Red Light. This is my kind of reds, and I'm going to tap in some of that. This is going to be used very much more sparingly because these are so bright. Just some right in here. I'm kind of going over the top of some of that purple. And it's blending with what's in my brush too, so, or what's in my sponge here, so just kind of toning it down a little bit too. There we go. Let's tap in some of that color. And we're definitely going to be using the fan brush, obviously, to, tone, add grasses, but this is just kind of speeding things up for us a little bit right there. Okay. So let me grab this one here. This is the Stippler. I'm going to grab the colors that I was using up there, the greener for the greenery there. I'm going to tap in along there and tap in along here on my walkway. So just right here and then right here as it comes down around. And then as we get down here, it's more grass looking. Down here, it's not as noticeable, but I can tap in and kind of lift a little bit. Okay. Let's get some of that yellow and cadmium yellow medium phthalo. Actually, let's go ahead and, not phthalo, yellow oxide, and let's go ahead and get the unbleached titanium here. And I'm just going to tap in along the edges here and tap in over some of my tree trunks here, way in the back. Use some of the brighter white here. Just tap in. Kind of right in front of those trees. Add some detail right there. Yep.
My microphone is buzzing. What is up with it today?
Don't know.
No, still buzzing.
Okay. Getting some burnt sienna with my yellow here.
Somebody was wanting to know what color that was just before you're there.
It was just white with a little bit of yellow in this one here. It's just yellow, the kind of the yellows mixed in with some white. So kind of creating some planes here for our trees to live. I'm going to get some more of that white and go back over. And really there's a little bit more of the brighter yellows in here too, so I'm going to get a little bit of the cadmium yellow light and add that to it. So it's kind of more of a sunny yellow here. There we go. So I put a little bit of that darker in there just to give it a little contrast because it was just kind of this not showing up against that light that we had going on back here. So now I'm tapping back over that burnt sienna area that I just put in and putting this brighter yellow back in here, and probably in order not to have to go around these trees, it'd probably be good to do this right after you do the first layer of trees, and then do this, and then do another layer over it kind of thing. I'm going to get some glaze though. I feel like these trees are a little bit, maybe a little bit dark back here. Just going to kind of use this yellow and kind of haze them out a little bit with some of that glaze. It'll just kind of fade them just a little bit. Make them look a little bit, maybe like sunlight's hitting them, softening the color a little bit. Okay. Definitely on these ones. And then going around these pathways here and kind of adding white. This is kind of disappearing back in here, so. Get a little bit more of that yellow. What are you laughing at?
Just a lot of tapping and scratching going on over there.
Yeah. Tappa. Getting a little bit of that purple, mix that in just a little bit. And right in here where we're gonna go ahead and kind of add it to some of these tree trunks. These ones that are farther away, we're kind of seeing a little bit of detail in them. Okay.
So we're just over a week from Liam touchdown.
From what?
Liam touchdown.
Yeah. Can't wait. Trying to think about baby-proofing the house again. It's been a while. Probably ought to find the cover for that corner electrical thing that's not covered right now.
It's in the TV cabinet.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yep.
I was looking for it yesterday, trying to do stuff.
I guess we voted to not put the Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
just so we don't have to worry about it.
Probably a good plan. Okay. So getting some more of this white. I'm noticing there's just kind of a section of white that's sort of breaking free and coming across here. Get some of that bright yellow here.
Somebody said that their trees are going up tomorrow. They put up 5.
Oh,
So they got like a mini forest in their house, apparently.
nice.
We're lucky if we get the one up.
Yeah, we are. We used to do 2, but one for the snowman ones and one for the regular, but I don't put the snowman one up anymore. All right, doing burnt umber here, a little bit of that purple, and I'm just going to kind of do some get some white with that yellow. I'm doing the opposite direction here. Let's use the angle brush here. These ones over here are just getting a lot more of the sunlight, so they're a little bit more whitish. They have more that yellow tones to them, the trees. And then as we go down here, they're getting more blue and purple. So I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of highlights to these ones that are back in here. kind of disappeared as I go up in here. There is one tree in here that looks like it's kind of white, so I'm going to go ahead and sort of put some of that in there. And then do some of it on these trees here. Just kind of tapping and dragging it towards the center a little bit. It's probably your son Nathan here.
Nope, telemarketer.
Telemarketer. So just trying to kind of tap in some texture on these trees just to make them look a little bit more detailed. Just putting some little dots, dragging some highlights. Our sunlight's coming through from this direction, I think. It's going to hit in this path here. Getting some of the Ultramarine Blue. A little bit of that white. Not super dark. And I'm going to go right along that path and just kind of add some shadow right underneath the reddish parts. Get some of the glazing liquid and pull with that. There we go. Do the same over here. Try to pick the spots that are coming up between the red. Okay.
Somebody asked a question, what's the best thing to get the acrylic paints out of clothing?
Out of clothing? I actually just got a bunch of paint off of one of my sweatshirts with Goo Gone.
The lava soap works good too.
Does it?
Yeah, well, I've used that before.
That might be rough depending on what kind of material it is you're using.
Yeah, if you're using fine Persian silk, maybe not lava soap.
Because it's pretty much just,
Pumice.
yeah, it's beating it out of there. So let me get some of the unbleached titanium here. Add some of that to my path.
I think shopping for a new wardrobe would help.
Just using an excuse.
Yeah. Oh, darn it. Got paint on another shirt. Oh, well.
Okay, that's coming out all right. So let's use the fan brush and add some of the darker. I'm just going to go ahead and do the grasses first before I add any more of these trees because I don't want to have to do this afterwards. Behind them and stuff, in between them. It's just not going to work. So back in here, there's some I'm getting some, that was Quinacridone burnt orange. I'm going to get some purple, get some actually ultramarine blue with the purple. And there's kind of a shadowy area all through in here. Right around the tree that's going to be right here. So there's going to be a big old tree that comes up right in here somewhere. So I'm going to shadow kind of in front of it. And these are with the much darker. Gotta put the dark in so that when we do our lighter colors, it'll have something to play against. This is that tree here. So. It's gonna come out like that. Gonna go up like that.
Would you happen to know if the brush guys do anything special for Black Fridays?
You know, I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's a good question. I'll have to ask them.
How about Green Fridays? No?
Is it Black Friday all over the world, or is that just a U.S. thing?
Well, since Thanksgiving in the last weekend in November is usually just a U.S. thing. Even though Canada does have a Thanksgiving, I don't think they have a Black Friday.
That's true. That makes sense.
But everybody's, advertising Black Friday sales now, like right now. It's like, well, you're just diminishing the power of Black Friday.
I know everybody's trying to jump the gun on it now.
Yeah.
Get the money. I got Black Friday deal on that kitty thing that we bought, that Robo Kitty thing.
Yeah, but you can't just say any sale is a Black Friday sale.
That's why I got more, money back on it.
That's fake news.
I was glad to get the sale price early.
Just call it a sale. I mean, they're trying to raise that, that something in you that's like, oh, it's a Black Friday sale.
I gotta buy it.
Best deal ever.
It usually is the best deals all year long. That's why people buy. That's why you wait till Black Friday to buy stuff. So I'm just going through with this blue here. We're talking about stupid stuff here. Sorry. I'm just gonna try to stay on task here.
Fine.
Adding some blue in there. Now it's starting to come out, but you see how it needed that dark until we got that really dark, almost black in here. It still looked a little bit flat. So now we're starting to get some good contrast in here, and it's going to really make a big difference. So I'm going to put some of this all through here. This is the wrong brush.
So maybe we should call this like Black Friday Autumn Path Painting.
Maybe. Since we're not going to be doing anything next. Is it? No, it's not next weekend, right? It's the weekend after.
Correct.
Okay. We have a weekend off. Okay. Using the Quinacridone Burnt Orange. And gonna add some grasses back here. These are gonna be a lot smaller, so keep your brush strokes a little shorter. And I'm just gonna making them sort of patchy, leaving some of that yellow poking through. We're going to be adding a lot of the other colors on top of this, so we're just kind of trying to add a little bit of depth. And then back in here where there's a lot more trees, there's A lot darker. Okay.
Pretty good.
Thanks. Getting some yellow oxide here, mixing that with what's already on my brush, and putting in some glazing liquid. And I'm going to come just below this and add some of this to my yellow areas here. Get some shadowing going on, coming out of this forest area. Okay, and then do the same thing over here. This area is not as dark, so kind of behind around these trees here. Keeping it very small back there. Starting to come together. Let's get a little bit of this yellow or unbleached titanium here. Do some of that. And we'll have to wait and put in some of those trees before we do much more, but let's put a little bit of that in there. Get a little bit of yellow. There's some bright yellow in the path right here.
Is that your fan brush?
Yes. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a few more trees. Get that turquoise, cobalt teal color. And I'm going to clear off my palette. I need some white. It's just a razor scraper here. Kind of use for getting stuff off glass, you know, like paint glass. Ooh, almost lost it. That's the problem with me, is like with this, I would have tried to catch it with my other hand and then jabbed it. I forget it's a razor. I did not, but I thought about it for a second.
So how's your Thursday painting going with all your Patreon
Good.
supporters?
We're almost done. We got really good progress on Thursday. So here's our sun conure. He's almost done. Pretty much the bird's mostly done, and then the sunflower you can see the parts we've almost finished, and these leaves that we've got going. So we got to put the details back in here and then keep finishing a little bit more detail on the petals. But yeah, he came together pretty well, pretty quickly. Doing well. Gonna use the teal with the Unbleached Titanium here. Yeah, that's our $10 level on Patreon. So if you're interested in joining us for that, that's at patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. And you can find information about joining. And be sure you join our Facebook group too if you're part of that. If you join, because we do kind of fun stuff in that Facebook group too. They have their own Facebook group, and they get to pick what they paint every month. So do a poll to see what they want to paint, and all kinds of other fun stuff in there. You have a lot of people that join the $10 level and then don't ever join the Facebook group. So hopefully, I know. All right, going through here with this teal now. And going back over some of these areas that we covered before. Gonna put a little bit on these here. These are gonna get covered up mostly with more greenery, or brownery, I should say. So let's put in the other ones over here. Get a little bit brighter teal. And right in here, right about where this bends, back in here. So I want to leave room. Let me just draw out. I don't want to take off any of this paint. But there's one right here that comes up. There's another one right in front of it. And there's a big one right here. And then there's a bunch of little ones back in here. Okay. Right about there. And then there's that one. Okay, then there's another one right here. Kind of spans the gap right here. And there's another one that bends this way. This is one of my favorite ones. Kind of cool. Kind of bends off over here and comes up right here. And then there's another one behind it, but I don't think I'm going to put that tree trunk because it's kind of hidden. And then it kind of obscures the shape of this one a little bit. So I think we're just going to leave that one off. But that one comes right up to there. And then there's another one right back here. That goes off this way. And then there's a couple more that are back here. But I think I'm going to just make this our focal point, and I'll just add a few more branches to it. So this one's really, really big all the way up. And then this one comes up like that. What are you laughing at?
My autocorrect.
What did your autocorrect do?
Well, I tried to say hi to somebody coming in. It changed it to a whole different name. So yeah.
Autocorrect never quite does right for me. Okay. A little bit thicker, and just pushing down a little bit harder with my brush. Get a little bit wider trees here. Definitely going to tops of these trees really need to be disappeared up into the canopy. So if you want to stop them, you can. You don't have to continue them all the way up like I am. Alright, I'm going to add some of this white to this one on this side here. Okay, pretty happy with that. Let's get a purpley color. Let's get a little bit of Quinacridone Magenta, mix that with this Cobalt Teal. Maybe a little bit of burnt orange. There we go. Use that color for this tree here. This one goes almost straight up. It's fairly thick. We'll be adding more to these trees, so don't worry about the color. It's going to look weird at first. So I'm going to do a tree going this way. Seeing that. And then there's one, let's get a little bit more of that teal. There's one in front of it that goes here and crosses over. And it goes pretty much straight up. Okay. Get some of that teal and tap some color over these. Just get some of that foreground color and just going to tap it over the bottoms of some of those. Try to obscure the start of them.
So somebody asked when you were doing that turquoisey blue.
What?
Somebody asked when you were doing that turquoisey blue on the trees if the underpainting was helping graying to gray it out.
I'm not sure what. Sorry. Burnt sienna and quinacridone burnt orange here, and I've tapped into this purple color here. Say that again?
So when you were putting the turquoise blue on the trees, was there already a painting of the tree underneath it?
On some of them, on these ones there was. On these ones over here there was not.
Okay, and so they were just wondering if that underpainting was helping to like gray it out.
A little bit, but I had kind of the purples and things in there, so it's kind of more probably my brush is not quite clean either, too, so that also helped.
Okay,
So
then.
I'm wanting to obscure them mostly in here. I'm going to get a little bit of that really dark purple and tap over some areas with that.
And then somebody wanted to know, do you have a tutorial that teaches the different brush strokes?
I do. I have one. It's called 5 Essential Brushes, something like that, for learning brush strokes. I think that's what it's called, or something similar. But if you Googled Angela Anderson brush strokes, you'll find it. It'll pop up. It's pretty. It goes through a lot of the decorative painting brush strokes, so a lot of the kind of old school brush strokes. and just shows you kind of how to hold the brush and use it. So it's an older video. Oh, is that Nathan? Sounds like Nathan's here.
Sounds like it.
All right. So what time is it? Okay, an hour and a half. Not too bad, especially since we got interrupted there at the beginning quite so much. I'm going to have to go back and cut out a bunch of that beginning part and hope that this even recorded on my home computer, because I don't know. It's probably in 5 parts.
Yeah, he's going to say
good.
you're going to have to stitch it together.
Yeah, I don't like that. Okay. Would you mind cleaning these out, honey, for me? Getting me some fresh water. This is just kind of a mess over here.
Sure.
Get a little bit of water while.
So what am I doing? Fresh water?
Just fresh water and rinse those brushes out for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll be back in an hour.
Get a little bit of that purple, a little bit of that teal. Go ahead and put this. Let's get some white too. I'm just going to wiggle this one up and around. I like this color. Add a little bit of it over here in this guy. Let's add some of it to this one here. And there we go. These purples are really pretty with these trees. They make them really, really nice. Thank you, honey.
Right back.
Okay. Let's do this little guy that's leaning. And with these trees, you just want to make sure that you're making the bottom wider than the top. So as you go up, your tree should be narrowing. Branches getting thinner. And then this bottom part should be your thickest part of the tree. I'm going to add a lot of really dark purple to this guy. Let's do the same thing here. Thank you.
Oh.
I'll get some of that purple here. What?
Somebody is telling you that I'm going to eat all the snacks in the kitchen.
Who's telling me that?
Somebody in chat. I'm cleaning brushes. Come on, people.
I'm sure he probably was in there snacking on something.
I am more of a professional.
Okay. I love that our show is like 90% snacks, 10% art. Snack talk with Mark and Angela. There's the name for your new show right there.
Snack talk.
Kind of like Smack Talk, but it fulfills your pun needs. So there's your
I am so proud of you.
thanks. Like I said, I think you've been wearing me down.
Yeah, so we can talk about the best snacks to eat while watching YouTube videos or
Right.
TV series or binge watching.
Oh my gosh, we binge watched Schitt's Creek. Oh my gosh, that is the funniest show ever. Cannot believe we hadn't watched it before. So hilarious. Do yourself a favor. Although it's pretty clean actually. It's not, I mean, it's just the name's worse than anything, it's not I think there is some swearing
There's
though.
some language, yeah. Some adult themes.
Yeah, just funny. Yeah. Okay. So just darkening up where those tree trunks start. Well, it's starting to come together. It's not been too bad so far, I don't think so. Gonna kind of continue that up dark there and kind of hope for the best. Yeah, okay. So let's get this. This is burnt umber and purple here that I was using. I don't think I mentioned that. Is that what?
So what's your Venmo?
Thankful art.
Thankful Art on Venmo? They want to send money?
Yeah. Yeah, that's somebody asking.
Somebody said that they don't have Super Chat available in their region.
Ah.
So there's
Well,
PayPal,
actually,
there's
yeah,
Venmo.
Venmo's better because it doesn't take out any fees.
Ooh.
PayPal, or PayPal and Super Chat takes out like, I want to say 40%, 30 to 40%, a lot. It's crazy. YouTube takes a lot of the money from the creators, which I don't really agree with.
People are asking, what is a Venmo?
Venmo is kind of like PayPal, but it's just kind of it's what all the young hip kids are using nowadays.
Come on. Just like us.
I didn't know about it until my social media manager told me about it. But yeah, it works out great. It doesn't take fees like PayPal does, so you can exchange money with. A lot of people use it to exchange money, like when they go out to eat with their friends and things, or if somebody borrows money from you or whatever and wants to pay back or whatever, they can transfer money easily. It's a commercial for Venmo. This show provided to you by Venmo. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, just tapping in some of these darker purple shadows on these branches. Let's continue to try not to get these two touching. I don't know. Maybe they... Actually, we can have them touching, I guess. It pushes that other one back farther to the background a little bit. And helps a little bit if you add a little bit of glazing liquid and water to your brush when you're doing these tree branches. They'll just kind of flow a little bit better with a little bit of more fluid on your brush. I love this little guy. He's all twisty turny. Gonna get some more purple out.
That path looks spot on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, honey. I think we're getting the colors right too, just about the values. But I just love the blue with the, even though, you know, you don't expect it to be this kind of teal, it works, you know, it's kind of neat. I like when I can exaggerate the colors like this. I mean, you could do this anytime you know, you want to. You can change your colors however you want to, as long as you get your values right. You know, as long as I get my darks dark where they should be dark and my light values where they should be light, you can really change these colors to anything you want. There's a lot of artists that do that.
Got a question about color here.
Mm-hmm.
They said that would aquamarine blue darken the purple and burnt umber more?
That is kind of aquamarine there. I mean, the cobalt teal.
Okay.
Yeah. Would this darken the what more? The purple more?
Oui.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's like using phthalo green, although it kind of creates like a bright blue almost, you know. So it's not this has a lot of white in it. So if you were going to darken, you could use phthalo blue and phthalo green, like a cobalt teal, or not cobalt teal, but I like a phthalo teal, turquoise. Phthalo turquoise, that's the color I'm trying to say. Which, you know, if you added white to it, would be like aquamarine. But since it has white in it, it's not going to really lighten your color. But if you wanted to use like a turquoise with that purple, that goes black, 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 really dark. So, and that's what we're doing with using the purple and the burnt umber here. We're getting a black with those two colors, just about. And if we want it even darker, we can add more of the ultramarine blue. So that's our black in this one in this case, and purple is our darkest color in our arsenal. So if you want to not use black in your paintings, you can substitute purple most of the time, and it'll give you that same look. But I try to do it as much as I can, because black tends to kind of dull things. I use black in animals. I like it in the background. You know, like animal eyes and things, I usually just go with black. But when I'm doing landscapes, I really like to use color instead of black. It just looks prettier to me. A lot of artists are, you know, the art police will tell you you can't use black. So use what you like. That's all I'm saying. If you like using black, use it. It's up to you. It's your painting. I know. People who tell other people how to do their art drive me crazy. I like showing you how I do it, but this is by far not the only way of doing it. And where are my paper towels? I need it. They're usually right here.
Blue ones?
Yeah.
They were still in the kitchen last week. Did you bring them up there?
No, I didn't. I usually leave them right by the thing there. There's a roll in the closet. Yeah, so that's like one of my triggers on YouTube and things when I see people leaving comments like that. It irritates me. It makes me want to comment back, but I don't. Thank you. All right. So I'm trying to see what the best brush to use for this. I was going to use the palette knife, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the best choice. Let's try it a little bit and see how it works. So I'm going to get some phthalo or some of the Quinacridone Magenta. I couldn't think of the name. Quinacridone Magenta. And I'm going to use a little bit of the teal. Kind of blew it out. I'm not sure if I can get it to curve very well. It's a little bit bigger right there than I wanted it to be. Let's see. Just scrape up a little bit on this side. So I've got just like a little bead on one side. That'll help me control it a little bit better. There we go. In those little corners, I'm just going to have to kind of go slow. Use the tip of the brush. And it's working pretty well. Okay, and then on this part, it's kind of more up and down, so I'm just going to kind of, whoops. I had more on there than I thought I did. I thought I got rid of all that. Let me get some of the... I don't like wiping this off, but... Get some of that purple. There we go. Using the palette knife, I don't know, it gives it a different look than you can get with the brush, so I just kind of like the look of it on tree bark, especially since this one's kind of our focal point tree. It's the closest to us. I'm going to use a little bit of the Quinacridone Burnt Orange here. And, you know, depending on whatever color you've got on your tree, if you went with the dark like this, you can go with lighter colors. If you have lighter colors like over here, then we're going to want to use darker colors on these when we do our scraping. So like over here, I'm going to get some of this color and use it just on the very tip. Scrape little lines in our let's get some Ultramarine Blue. And this is probably a little too small to really get the best results with the palette knife. These are just kind of too far away, so we'll just work on this one that's closer to us here. And use some of this pink on this one. We're going to do pink on this side, and then on the other side we're going to do the turquoise color. And this is kind of more shadowed than I'm doing it too, so maybe add a little bit of that purple from the bark. There we go.
What would be a good brush instead of a palette knife? I would say you could use a credit card.
Yeah, you could use a credit card if you don't have a palette knife.
Preferably one that you're not using for other purchases.
Right, exactly. Get some Ultramarine Blue here with the Quinacridone Burnt Orange and the purple. So this is the Willow blender. It's going to work as well. And the nice thing about this too is that if you get it on too bright or whatever, we can always glaze over it later, so it doesn't have to be perfect right now. What we're really concerned with is just getting the texture looking right. It doesn't have to be the right darkness or the right, you know, whatever. We're just going to want to get some little texture in here. So I'm using the turquoise here. This is the Cobalt Teal with a little bit of the white, and I think I have the purple in there too. Just gonna tap in some of that and use it some on this. Right here, this one is kind of behind, I don't know. If it's part of the same tree, so I'm gonna kind of separate it out a little bit. Get a little bit of that purple and burnt orange and use it to add some dark shadows. Use a little bit of that lighter pink there mixed with it to do some more details on the trunk here. Just keep on going up here with this blue. And then over here, it's a little bit more yellowish on this guy. So I'm going to get a little bit more of the white there and do his streaks with white. It's got these other colors in it though. It's not pure white. It's got a little bit of that pink in it. None of this is going to be pure white back here. It's all going to be kind of tinted from the shadows of the trees and things that were under. And some burnt umber here. Just gonna squiggle in some different colors in here. And some white, mixed it with those turquoise and pink colors. Just gonna use it to kind of a neutral gray color to my tree bark back in here. Alright, let's use some on this one back here. Don't forget him. Sounds like one of our neighbors is shooting a gun. It's hunting season in Arkansas. Probably everywhere. I'm glad you don't do that.
No. Somebody donated through PayPal,
Oh,
but I don't have access to your PayPal, so I was trying to get on your phone, but it won't let me in. You changed your PIN.
This pause brought to you by donations worldwide.
I'm trying to get my fingerprint to register. My fingerprint reader does not like my fingerprints. I don't think I have good fingerprints. Like, I think they're worn down. There we go. See it?
Yep.
Sweet. Thank you.
I also see Cinnamon's face.
Yeah, Cinnamon's texting me. I think she realized that I was in the middle of my show. That's Cinnamon Cooney, my friend and fellow YouTuber. For any of don't know who Cinnamon is, which I probably not very many. Got a whole lot more subscribers than we do. We get together and gripe about YouTube. No, I'm joking. We have a Facebook group together. We talk about stuff going on in there. Kick out a member that was professional this morning. Get a lot of professionals trying to promote their stuff in our group, which is, fine. I'm all for you promoting your art. I like to see art too from all kinds of people, but not in our group, because our group's for the beginners trying to paint our tutorials and share it with us. So we come down pretty hard on that. Okay. Oh, it's turning out good. I'm happy. Just kind of adding layers upon layers. This is brown. I'm adding to the purple here. Just kind of doing different colors. I need to do this side. I'm focusing so much on those trees over there. I forget what's going on over here. Let's get some of that pink and do some of that on here. A lot of this is this bark is kind of running vertical. So I'm just going to kind of scrub it in a little bit. Same deal here. They must be different kinds of trees. Although no, they're probably like the river birch where they have kind of different bark at the bottom, but then as it goes up to the top, it kind of changes. Because this one changes from this kind of bark to the striations this way. Or whatever, I don't know. What are they called? I think it's striations.
It sounded real, so.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
It just means lines. It's a fancy way of saying lines.
So, painting lines?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
For us common folk.
I do get my word of the day. I have to use them somehow. Okay, using that kind of gray with the burnt umber and ultramarine blue here. I'm liking this brush. I can control it a little bit better than that palette knife, although I do like the look of the palette knife. This painting is just maybe a little small for it. There's just not enough room to really maneuver it like you need to get the right results. Use a little bit of the Quinacridone burnt orange here. And then I'm seeing a lot of the turquoise in this tree, so I'm going to get some of the turquoise color, some of the unbleached titanium, maybe a little bit of the ultramarine blue, and using it and
We got an interesting question here.
okay.
Let me make sure I read it all. It says, Dear Angela, could you tell us what you do when you don't feel motivated to make YouTube videos? At the moment, they're not feeling inspiration whatsoever, so how do you stay motivated?
I've had some times that are like that. A lot of it, for me, I do better if I have a schedule. So like when I used to be in the studio and just kind of let myself kind of paint when I felt like it, then, I might be 2 or 3 weeks before I'd sit down and paint something. So I find that having a set schedule for me is good motivation to actually work, even if I just sit down and, doodle or organize my paint drawer or whatever, it doesn't have to be anything profound, but if you'll schedule in time to actually just sit down in your studio and make yourself sit down and do something, then chances are what'll happen is, like, as you sit down, then you'll get motivated, so I just make sure that I just sit down in my studio every day or two. I usually try to take a day or two off every week too, so if you're doing too much and it can be pretty overwhelming because social media never stops, it's 24/7. So I've learned to just not pick up my social media. I just don't. So if you posted something in my groups and I haven't commented and it's been, a week, chances are that, I've just taken some time off. I try to go back in and catch everything, so if this is just off to the side, if you have posted something and you really want me to see it, you might just kind of comment on it again. It'll pop it back up higher in the feed so that I can see it, but I try to check it every now and then. But like when I first started doing YouTube, And I mean, it was important early on because I didn't have a lot of the fan base that I have now. So I was trying to build relationships with my, viewers and stuff. And so, and then there's some YouTubers that will tell you, that the number one thing to do is to, keep in contact with your fans and really stay in touch with them. But it can be hard because, that that's time away from creating. And so the more you do that, sometimes the less motivated you are to actually work. And, because you're wearing yourself out just chatting and, answering comments and stuff. So it's just kind of finding a balance between social media, doing the work of social media and doing the work of the actual painting and stuff. Although I don't know, it sounds like they're talking about a YouTube channel, right? Not just art in general, right? Or is it just talking about art in general?
I think just in general.
Just in general,
right.
Creating. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
They understand that you have a channel, and so
right.
How do you stay motivated? But for them personally,
sorry. So
okay.
So no, that's but that's for anybody really, because social media is a really time suck. You can get sucked in, and then you don't end up getting any work done. Regardless of what it is you're doing. So yeah, I would say, just be aware of that, how much time you're spending on social media, and just schedule yourself some time to work. And I've found that like I work better if I've got like a kind of a this is that same yellow or same purple in color that I've been using. So this is just the brown with the purple and the blue. If you give yourself kind of a challenge, so like say I want to do a painting with only primary colors, or I want to do a painting with, black and white, and having limits is actually sometimes really liberating. So I would say, if you are stuck, that's a way to start, and just give yourself like a challenge, or even, participate in some sort of online challenge. They just had Inktober. That was a big deal with a lot of crafters and things. So, find something like that you can participate in, maybe, that if that's, interesting to you. But like just sitting down to a blank page that has absolutely no limitations sometimes is really overwhelming. So, like with mine, what I do is I'm like, in the different months, I give myself the challenge of like finding themed paintings to paint. So, different times of year. Christmas, obviously, right now is really easy. But, just depending on the time of year, I find things that I can paint that go along with that season. Seasonal things really kind of interest me. So that's a way to motivate myself, trying to find something new to paint. I spend a lot of time looking for images. Mark can tell you, if I'm not watching TV or reading, I'm usually on my keypad, in my downtime, I'm saying, in my downtime, if I'm not actually working, I'm looking up images to paint on different sites. So, and keeping boards of things so that when I do get a time when I'm not that motivated, I can go back in and search those out, and I just have files of images that I've saved, and I can find one that usually find one that kind of is interesting to me, that I want to work on. So and then if none of that works, then it's always good to like go out, do something that's non-art related, get out of the house. Sometimes you just need a break. Do something that you enjoy doing that really energizes you. and then come back to it. Do something, maybe go to an art museum, see other people's art. Maybe that motivates you. You can find inspiration in all kinds of different places. Go to Hobby Lobby or one of those art stores and buy yourself a new brush, or buy a, I like buying new things when I get kind of down to, like, that always kind of motivates me as I have something new to work on and work with, if I have a new tool to try out, or try a new medium of some sort, new color, just anything like that. There's all kinds of different ways. I've dealt with it, so I know exactly how that feels. I've dealt with it for years. When you paint for 30 years, I've taken 2 years off before from painting. When I got so burned out doing the craft fairs and things, I did not paint for almost 2 years. So, I definitely don't want to go back to that. So one of the things also that I do is I don't paint anymore anything that I don't want to paint. It sounds really selfish, but I just don't do it anymore because I know myself, and I know that I get burned out really easily on things that are just don't interest me. And so, I get a lot of requests for paintings, and I'm using white here. Gonna create a kind of a bright white for some of these trees back here. So it's nothing personal. It's not that I don't think your paintings or, whatever you're sharing with me is not great, but, it may not be great for me. So I get a lot of requests to paint stuff, but I don't do a whole lot of the requests because I find that I just have to kind of let my own kind of motivation happen. I do try to listen as much as I can, but I don't do commissions anymore. I don't paint what other people want me to paint anymore. I just do what I want to do. Sounds really selfish, but it's the way for me to keep from burning out, because I did what other people wanted me to do for years, and then I didn't want to paint at all anymore after a while, so
that is true.
Yeah. And when I got to doing this channel marks, there's been multiple times when I've been like, maybe I need to do this, maybe I need to do that. And Mark would be like, don't do it unless you love it. So
exactly.
I try to keep with that. Getting the turquoise here.
So somebody wants to know, how many paintings have you done?
Oh, over my lifetime? Or just on YouTube? There's over 300 and something on YouTube. I know I've done, oh gosh. Oh, I've probably done, oops, I'm off camera there, honey. No, that's fine. I just didn't know that I was that close off. Yeah, I have no idea. I really have literally no idea.
800, 900,000?
Oh. Yeah, I would say close to 1,000 easily. Now on canvas is different than, on wood, because I've done that. I've done
right. You did craft
several
painting
thousand
for a while.
Wood.
Teaching classes and all that stuff.
Right,
so
right. But on canvas, yeah, I've probably, I don't know. I can't even guess. I really don't know.
So have you seen the movie Big Eyes?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, maybe I do all the painting and she just takes credit for it. That is a possibility.
I don't think so, honey.
No? You don't think those are my hands right now painting?
Unless you have really pretty hands.
Very
feminine hands.
I just might.
Oh, it's so pretty. I like this one. It's turned out really nice. So let's use this here, and this is the script liner. I'm going to use the burnt umber and Purple. And you got to add a lot of water when you're using this. So I'm adding a little bit of the glazing liquid just so that it doesn't underbind to my painting. Don't want to add too much water to your heavy body acrylics. And you need more water than is good for the heavy body acrylics when you do the liner brush. So you need it really almost like a milk consistency, very, very thin. It should almost drip off your brush if it's thin enough. Okay, I'm going to spin that to a good point. Somebody was saying they were having trouble with lining, and this is the number one thing, is using thin water, thin paint. So thin your paints with water if if you're having trouble with your liner brush. That's usually the number one problem. Because what happens is these brushes are so long and floppy, and that paint just sticks straight onto them if it's not thin enough. And so then what happens is you end up pressing down harder to try to get that paint off, because obviously you're not pressing down hard enough if the paint's not coming off your brush. And then before too long, you end up with this huge wide mess when all you needed to do was add water. So just add a little water. You're going to be so much happier with your lines. Some of them I'm going to add a little bit, even kind of wider, almost like branches here. So. It's really turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, surprisingly enough. I don't know. I never know when we're starting one of these whether it's going to go well or not. So don't paint it ahead of time. So I just kind of have an idea of how I think I should paint it, but it never quite goes the way I think it will. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. This one's better than.
So this may or may not help anybody in their painting. But what you don't see is before the show, Angela looking at the picture, looking at the canvas, selecting her brushes.
Mm-hmm.
She even does some fake painting strokes with the brushes to see if she feels that brush is going to be the right one for that. No, seriously.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
I guess, yeah, I do. I sit here and I do like this on a blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of mimic what I'm going to be doing.
Yep. No,
it helps me. It helps me visualize and get ready for what I'm doing and kind of figure out what I need to do.
Right,
So.
and I think that's a helpful tip for a lot of people.
It is, yeah.
To sit there and before you start, think about it. Think about what you're going to do, and
yeah, I studied the image real carefully and just kind of look and see what colors I'm seeing, where I'm seeing them, try to figure out how, especially with one this detailed, it's got so many different layers. If I can kind of map out a plan in my head ahead of time, it really helps it go smoother with the tutorial. Mm-hmm. Since I'm not painting ahead of time, which I much prefer getting to paint something ahead of time before I paint with you guys, but I've just been having a lot of issues with tendinitis and carpal tunnel type stuff, so I just can't anymore. Can't paint ahead. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's so cute. Okay, so what I need to do, use this dark color here. I'm going to put in some small grasses back in here. Very tiny. And then up in here, I'm going to put in some bigger ones. And then if I did this right, we should be able to use the grainier here. I'm going to use the Cadmium Yellow Light, a little bit of the Cadmium Red. orangey yellow. Water. This grainier is the same as the liner brush. It's got these very fine tipped ridges. It's like a comb, rake, all those kind of different brushes, basically the same. It's just got separations between these bristles so that when I set it down I can quickly do some sections that are grass-like without having to paint every individual grass in. Adding a little bit of white here because I felt like it wasn't covering very well. Let's use some of it back in here. And you want to work from back to front too, so let me see. I feel like I was getting a little bit use the fan brush too here. There we go. See what's happening there. Where I got it super thick like that. Just I didn't have it thin enough. That's what happens if you don't have your paint thin enough with these. I add the glazing liquid to help make that paint stick, and I get some of that paint off of there so that, there we go. Get a little bit. Shouldn't have to press down hardly at all to get that paint to come off.
So if somebody,
Get some of the, what?
if somebody doesn't have a sponge, what could they do for the leaves?
You could get that same look with the Deerfoot Stippler or something like that. It just takes a little bit longer. Take a little bit longer to put them on. But this is the Quinacridone Burnt Orange here. Got a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta in there too.
So don't stick your hair in the paint and then push it up against the canvas?
No.
No? Okay.
Why would you even think of doing that?
Well, I was just trying to think of things that could give you that texture.
Okay.
I got a lot of free time on my hands over here, okay?
I see that. I know. Sorry, I asked. Goodness gracious. Oh, goodness. All right, getting some white here. Or the... Oh, yeah, that's a good color. That Cadmium Red Light here with some of the glazing liquid. I'm just kind of doing different colors in my grasses here, just all different. No, I'm not really liking the way that grainier is doing. I'm going to switch back to the fan brush, I think. some of that quinacridone burnt orange here. So technically probably would have been a little bit better to do these and then do the grass and then do, you know, the next line down, because it's kind of hard to go back in here and keep it from looking like there's a line around these trees. You know, look right in here. You want those grasses to kind of be all in this area too, all the way across. But I like how it's turning out. I'm gonna get some burnt orange, or burnt sienna, I mean. It helps if you work from the back forward too, because what happens is like you kind of lose the overlapping look when you go back up, because what you're doing is covering up all those little tips that you just created. So I'm going to go back in here and try to get some little short grasses and work from the top down. Chair's starting to make noises when I move. Now and then. Sounds like a frog. Now, of course, it's not going to do it when I try to do it. All right, getting some of that purple. These areas back in here are not as bright, not as much sun hitting here, so a little bit lighter. Maybe what I want to do is any of these areas that I'm seeing where I can definitely see where the brush stroke started, I want to then go back over underneath and just kind of cover where that beginning started. Okay, so now that we've got most of that in there, I'm going to get my little angle brush here and some of the purple and quinacridone burnt orange and thin it out again. Get a little bit of that purple there. I'm gonna do some little very short these are going to be more detailed. Keep them down in this bottom section here. You don't want these to go up high because these are kind of thicker, and they're not going to be as fine. Just doing like that, and then getting the unbleached titanium here, maybe a little bit of this yellow, kind of a golden color. Still have that quinacridone burnt orange in my brush. I'm going to do a few with this.
How do you keep your paints from drying out?
I spray them as I'm working pretty frequently, and I only pull from one side, so that back side stays. Okay, that's getting too thick right there. Don't like that. The back side stays back here. The fresh color is underneath. So this part's all kind of pretty much dried up. Like if you touch it, it's dried. But if I lift that off and push it back, then everything underneath there is still wet. So basically what I'm doing is kind of creating a little cup for my paint, my fresh paint to kind of exist. And as I work that wet edge right here, I pull from up underneath that little barrier there. So if I started pulling from this side, then it would dry out a lot faster. So I always kind of pull from the front side here and leave this back side to kind of dry out and protect the paint underneath. All right, so mixing up some quinacridone burnt orange with the cadmium red light and yellow. Just not liking how thin those are. Not thin enough. Let's try this. I may need a liner brush. I didn't want to have to use a liner brush, but and when I'm doing these grasses, you can kind of see how I'm kind of rocking back and forth. It's going to grow in little clusters, little clumps. So if if you've ever seen a clump of grass, it's got the roots here, and then it kind of goes in all directions all the way around. And so you've got all these grasses that are competing from each other, and they're all doing that. So I'm just kind of creating these little clusters of grasses here and letting them all kind of go in different directions there from that center cluster there. That makes sense. And then just kind of moving around so that I'm not repeating too much in one spot, and then making sure that any of these bottom edges are getting covered by other layers in front. How you doing, Nun? Do I need to stop?
Yeah, would you please stop? Would you please stop being awesome? The people are complaining.
Are they?
They're like, would you please stop doing this painting? My gosh.
Did we get back some of our audience from our original? Still pretty low?
Yeah.
That's not good.
But that's okay.
The ones that are supposed to be here are here.
Exactly. It's everybody else's loss.
Exactly. It's so weird. We had those 2 weeks where we had like 800 people watching or something. And then nobody. Now we're back to our normal numbers. It's a little bit disheartening. I'm like, what did we do? Where did everybody go? Not that I did not appreciate it for the people that
I took a
are
shower.
showing up.
I took a
I'm
shower.
just like,
I mean, seriously.
I don't know what I did. That's the joy of working with the YouTube algorithm. It's beautiful when it's shining on you. Everything's good with the world, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And you're left wondering what you did.
Your 15 minutes of fame.
Exactly. You're like, I'm not doing anything different than I've always been doing. And suddenly...
And that's why we go back to the advice. Just do what you like to do.
Yeah.
And don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Taking my time adding these grasses. And then there are a bunch of little white flowers in here too. So I'm going to get some of the yellow a little bit. But some of those in. I'm kind of just putting them in sort of sideways. Kind of just showing up this little and some of the grasses have little seed pods on the tips, so I'm gonna kind of do some little tips on some of these that are sticking up here, like they're catching the light. Let's go ahead and I'm going to splatter a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, because I think it'll kind of help with all these little dots and things that I'm seeing. It'll just be a faster way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of, I've got a lot of that orange still in my brush. I'm just gonna tap it in here, making a magical forest path. Kind of makes it look kind of like sunbeams are floating through the air, catching the light. Okay, and one last layer of the greenery or brownery at the top of the thing here. Getting some of the quinacridone burnt orange, maybe a little bit of the purple if I can get some in there. There we go. Some cadmium red. Okay, just making kind of a mashup of some of the colors we've been using, and be careful where I do it. I just want a few, but some of these ones that went up at the top here, these tree branches, I just want to kind of disappear a little bit. Some of this yellow red color here. What?
I'm gonna pull the painting down a little bit so they can see the top.
So I had those darker colors underneath, so now I'm just kind of going back over with the more orangey color here. All right, I'm going to stop there. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe do one little last bit of really bright highlights on my path. Maybe a little bit of white in the Unbleached Titanium, just right in here. And I probably should have done this before I put my grass on there, because it's not wanted to, don't go over your grass. Oh, I did want to do a little bit more back in here. I did notice that. Get some of this yellow and orange. And right back here, my pathway needed a little bit right along there. just trying to look at all my transitions here and make sure that I've got good separation between the colors and good transitions. I'm going to get a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta and put some down here. And then once this is dry, what you can do if you feel like you still need to is you can glaze over, and it'd probably be a good idea because there's some areas I would use like Ultramarine Blue probably in my white and my glazing liquid, and just glaze over some of these grasses, add some shadows here and there back in my forest. On my path some really dark areas in here.
So what do you use for your glazing liquid?
Glazing liquid is a golden glazing liquid, gloss or satin. I don't like regular glazing liquid. Regular glazing liquids tend to dry really quickly, so they're not as easy to use as this one is. This one's got an extender in it, so it gives you a little bit extra time to work. Oh, I like it a whole lot better than regular glazing liquids that I've used before.
And do you paint all your bottles?
What?
Do you paint all your bottles? That was a question from me.
Make them look pretty, you know me. Okay, I think I'm gonna call that good. I'm gonna grab my pen here and add my signature.
This is old school here.
Super chat. Hey.
Super chat through PayPal.
Awesome.
And it was from Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
So there was no message, but I think that she was loving the video, and
Great.
so thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate that. All right, thanks, guys, for watching and sticking with us there during our technical difficulties. We really appreciate you, and hope you come back and join us again on Tuesday night. We're going to be painting our last two in the series of my flowers of the month, and so we'll be a little bit longer Tuesday night than normal, but then we're going to be next Saturday. Are we painting the bunny? I think we are, right? Is that right?
No,
I think
it's gotta
so.
be these things.
Or is it next Saturday that we're gone?
No, Saturday.
Next Saturday? Okay.
Let me look on YouTube.
So yeah, I think we're going to be painting our little bunny winter scene, another landscape. So
No, the 23rd you've got bunny and a white tree.
mm-hmm.
It's already posted in her YouTube channel, so you can go over and hit the reminder so that
Right.
you don't forget.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye.